So another very pediatric specific question someone emailed me earlier is just what do we do with our kids? Everybody on Facebook's talking about what can we do with our kids during this time. And I am a positive parenting program provider, which means I've had some training, different training for kids and different training from adults from a company called Positive Parenting Program, also Triple P. And they have uploaded this great sheet you can download on their website called the Top 10 Tips for Uncertain Times, which I think is great. The American Academy of Pediatrics has a similar kind of tips sheet on their website. It does, that one goes a little more into like how to discipline children. This one is just more general principles. I'm gonna go over that with you guys real fast. And just before I do, I pulled out some general principles about how to talk to kids about this. So the first one is the coronavirus has changed all of our lives. You know, I spend twice as long going to work and coming from work because I'm having to leave my shoes outside, take off clothes, wash clothes every time, spend more time on the phone with people, do more videos, and this affects my life. And it affects my kids too because they're having to wait on me more and put up with more stuff around the house. So when things affect our lives, what the Positive Parenting Program suggests is we should involve our children in discussions about how this is affecting our life. Now, it'll totally depend on the child's age. You know, a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old is going to understand or see the changes a lot more than a 10-year-old. And you should always, before just assuming what they're wondering and what's bothering them, ask them what's bothering them, so you don't, give them more information than they need. But try as much as you can to discuss these changes. Don't try to shield them from it, but try to bring them into what you're thinking so that they feel comfortable knowing that their parent is watching out for them. So that's one, involve them in life changes and planning. The second one is involve them a little bit in what you're thinking about, what your family is doing in preparation for future changes that might come up or what you've done now. If you're someone who's bought a lot of toilet paper, you probably have good reasons for it. Just involve them and, hey, I was worried we wouldn't have enough toilet paper. I want to take care of our family, so I went out and I got a lot of toilet paper. I bought a lot of canned foods, or I bought these books to get ready for us to do things and have a schedule. And so that goes right into 3 is we should reassure children that our family is our top priority in doing this. So those are general principles, but here's the top 10. The first one is reassure your children is your top priority. I kind of went over that one. The second one is as much as you can, try to maintain everyday family routines. Where I live, this was pretty hard because it was spring break, so family routines kind of were going out the window. So we're having to push ourselves back into family routines, like getting up on time, eating a healthy breakfast, not eating snacks, limiting electronics and video games. So all these things will take effort and pushback from our kids, but they will be happier if they have routines that are as similar as possible to life before the pandemic. The third one, as we all know, is just to prevent boredom. Bored kids, bored people worry about things more. Their mind drifts to things. So, they suggest always with your kid, try to bring your kid into as much as possible. Think of 20 things they can do that don't involve FaceTime or, screen time. I think you can see back here on our back, we have a little shelf that's got a chessboard, some board games. As a kid, my kids haven't got into it. I made model airplanes and cars. I rushed a little too much and they were extremely sloppy. But I'm trying to get my kids into model airplanes right now because we need to find things for them to do. And then also, if you see them doing things, a behavior you like cleaning up in the kitchen or helping with breakfast, putting things away, reading a book, compliment that behavior. Say, hey, Graham, I noticed you spent time reading a book. That's great. Or, hey, Graham, I noticed you put your plate away. That's great. And remember to compliment the behavior and not the child. And then anytime that you can, a lot of us are working from home, But when you can, and you notice your child does want to talk, try to stop and listen to them. And children don't need long periods of time. We know that they do better if you can give them like many shorter periods of time, which is hard for work, because when we're as an adult, it seems like we're always better if we can really get into our work and finish it. But try to give our kids, instead of one long time, like maybe 2 or 3 shorter times during the day, and that'll feel better to them. And try to be ready to stop and listen to them too. And then be truthful when answering their questions about the pandemic or other things. Again, first ask them to see what they're really worried about, so that you don't give them more information than they really wanted or needed. But it's important to be truthful, because kids get a sense of when we're not being truthful. And then we should have a family plan of action, like planning on, this is going to affect our economy for, 6 months. Schools might not be in place for, until next fall, go at least in person. So as we're planning these things, we can bring our kids into the planning and involve them in it, and that will help them feel more secure and prepared in the situation. And then one that's very hard is to try to help teach children to tolerate uncertainty. Even as adults, tolerating uncertainty is very difficult, at least for me. But a lot of that is just being honest with what you don't know. Like if a child asks you something about like when will we be back at school, if they had any medicines for coronavirus or people getting hurt, if you know, go ahead and tell them in a basic way. And if they want more detail, they'll ask you. But you can also say, Taylor, I don't know. Let's see what we can learn about that. Then maybe you can search like the internet or something else. I wouldn't probably do it while they're watching, because you might find something you don't want them to see. But say, hey, I'll look that up, or we'll get back to you, or we can maybe look it up together if they're old enough and see what's going on. And then there's 2 more. Number 9 and 10. 9 is take care of yourself as best as you can. I think all of us are feeling a lot of stress. I myself have a bad back, and this morning I got down just to stretch, and I realized that all the muscles in my body were tight. And I think just relaxing my body was just as important as the stretching I was going to do. So, for a lot of people, this could be learning mindfulness for the first time, spending some time in nature. If you are a spiritual person, meditation or prayer, this would be a good time to just block off 10 to 20 to 30 minutes a day of something that brings you peace or distraction, which can be different for every person. Then last, number 10, is something that we've done a little bit in my house, is reach out and connect with others or loved ones. We're learning right now how to use Zoom and FaceTime, and everyone's stuck in their homes. At least some of us have bigger families that we're not all bored, but some people are all alone. So as much as you can, and it's nice for everybody, try to reach out to loved ones and contact them during this time. So that's the Triple P, the Positive Parenting Program's top 10 tips, which I think were very good, very comprehensive.